Ian, we're back in front of the camera just a short time really after our night before up at Arbroath. Final reflections on your team's effort and the quality to gain that kind of 3 points?
Yeah, I think it was a tremendous effort from the players. You know, another away game midweek. You know, Wednesday night slightly different for us all. So we had to recover really quickly after Saturday and get that disappointment behind us, and no better way than winning a game straight after. So fantastic effort from all the players, subs as well, and all the boys travelled. You know, that was a really pleasing thing as well. All the young guys who were on loan were up there at their only day off this week, and they were all there. It shows you the commitment they're putting in.
What about today? What does that have in store for the players? What does that recovery day mean?
We had two groups today. We've got a fairly large number at the moment as well, which is good. So we had half the group doing recovery, a little bit of football and a little bit of bike work, and then the other half had a decent session, just to try and blow away some cobwebs from the travel yesterday, and a few players who effectively hadn't done anything yesterday, and then you've got another couple that done 10-15 minutes. So it's quite a hard sort of judgment call and a hard mix to do, but trained really well. Tough conditions again, you know, the rain pelting down all morning and a little bit windy, but a good session, and the main thing is recovery for the players that played. That's our biggest thing at the moment.
So they're going to get home for Arbroath the back at 11 at night after the wind and the rain, and they come into a rainy Pratt Street. Football's quite a glamorous game, isn't it? Yeah,
it's not all glitz and glam like people like to think about. You know, a late finish. It's very hard to sleep after games as well, more so for the players. So we have to be mindful of that. And then they're straight up this morning and back into their workplace. But it's always easier after a win. You know, you get to see each other again, talk about the game. You know, find out any problems that we may have had within it, especially with the first half conditions. It takes a lot of energy out players as well. I was speaking to Brad about that this morning because he was a wee bit tired, and you know, with that wind that we had to face last night, it does take that extra 5-10% energy out of players, and they probably don't realise it at the time until the next morning. So there was a few tired legs today, but that's a sign of a hard working performance, and like I say, when you get a result, it always makes life a wee bit easier.
We're chatting here just post lunchtime, so you've had a wee bit of chance to pick up any information about knocks and niggles, etc. So go and take us through the injuries. Tell us where the boys are at. I guess the player we would have expected to see closest probably would have been Ethan Ross, but he's missed a couple of games. How's Ethan doing? Yeah,
Ethan's got a wee problem in his stomach. He's had a scan. We're just waiting results of that, which is unfortunate for Ethan because he was in the starting team. We really like Ethan as a player and as a guy, so we'll rehab him as quick as we can and get him back.
We'll get a sense of the kind of time frame for that when you get the results, etc. What about Hammer? I think he's been away for a scan possibly.
Yeah, Hammer's had the scan as well, so again he got that yesterday, so we're waiting on results of that. Again, we're talking about the expert medical opinion of seeing the scan, that it's probably not as bad as it maybe sounds. We're hopeful it's just we've been unlucky on Saturday within the game, and it's not an ongoing problem, so we're probably looking maybe 2.5 to 3 weeks on the positive side of it, but again, until we get the scan back, we won't know for certain.
The big moment of coming over the white line's coming closer for guys that have had to give the recovery absolutely everything, for Tom and for Lewis. How far on are they?
Yeah, Tom's out there now, or he was out there at the end of training doing his fitness work with Blair, so he's stepped up this week. His rehab's going really, really well. He's way ahead of schedule. He done all his tests last week, which is the kind of what we look for in that type of injury. If he comes through them, then he's good to go in the pitch. So he's getting there. He's certainly working very, very hard, and he has worked hard since I've been here anyway, and I'm sure he did last season as well. He's got a great attitude towards that. So we're hopeful of getting Thomas back within the group in the next 3.5 weeks back in with us, and then we'll need time after that to build him back up again. And Lewis has done really well this week. He's trained fully, everything we've asked of him. He trained at the tail end of last week as well, but just a little bit lower key for him. And next week we step Lewis up again, and as I say, I've tried not to put any pressure on Lewis in particular, or the medical side of it, because we know it can change very quickly, but we're very hopeful if Lewis can come through next week, then hopefully we'll see his face in the squad in very, very soon. Will
you be looking for a kind of staggered return for Lewis? I mean, he's emotional and his physical resilience is incredible, but I pick up that everyone in the club, supporters included, just want to nurse him back on the pitch in the safest way.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, what he's shown me in training so far, I really liked what I've seen. He's very, very sharp, he's got excellent movement, but I think his mentality has been a credit to himself more than anyone, and his family throughout this whole ordeal, because it's not been easy for him, and that's me speaking with working with him only a short time. So he's been through the wars, there's no question about that. We have to help him as much as we can. We have to listen to him. It's very important that we listen to him as well as him listening to us to get him back. We all want to see Lewis back on the park. I think everybody in Scottish football certainly wants to see him back, because he's a good player, and the more good players we have playing in Scotland, the better. But for Raith Rovers supporters and myself, it's got that wee bit extra dimension to it. You'll add a heck of a lot to our squad, but we need to be careful with him. We will try and play him next week in a bounce game. Again, we'll gauge that with Lewis and how we go about that and approach that, and when he's had enough, because he knows his body better than anyone. But all the signs are very encouraging. He is, like we talked on his mentality, he's not one to shirk a challenge, that's for sure, and if there's anybody that can come back from this, it's Lewis.
Anything else in the squad in terms of injuries, niggles?
Not really. We had a wee niggle with Kyle before yesterday, which is why he was on the bench, because we had to go with players that were fit. Came through the game fine though, so that's really good news, because probably Saturday evening it wasn't looking great, the message I was getting from them. But that's great that he's okay. Trying to think of anyone else. I think we're fine.
Awkward landing for Jamie. He looked in a wee bit of pain just pre-half time, but second half was good.
Yeah, Jamie's fine. Cooled down this morning, a recovery this morning, absolutely fine. So he'll be good to go. We're just, Thomas, Louis Vaughan, Jamie Gullen, and Ethan Ross are the ones that won't make the squad this week.
There was a time where I think you were hiding from me, because I was always asking you about squad additions, and now I get to ask you about a really interesting squad addition, and that's Colin Cameron, Mickey to all of us in these parts. Tell us about how that came about, what's drawn you towards Colin as your number 2.
Yeah, well, obviously what we're calling before at Airdrie, which was cut short with COVID. It was a really strange time for everybody, football clubs obviously included, and we also, especially in League One as well, in the lower leagues, we stopped for quite a long time. So clubs were probably panicking, cutting their cloth accordingly, so we had to part ways at that time, which that's sometimes it's out with your control. It's football. Obviously I know Colin's history of playing here as a younger player, and then eventually moving on and having a very good career as well. We needed to add to the staff. We needed a little bit of help, because it's been a tough few weeks for us all, and it's little things but big things at the same time. Primarily the biggest thing for me is he'll help players. Again, that was a great help this morning as an example. It's been very difficult with late to split groups, and sometimes we've had at times 23, 24 players training at once, so for us to get them all together and keep on top of them and make sure we can involve everybody, it's been tough. So he adds an extra pair of hands, he adds excellent experience, he knows the club inside out, he lives locally. All these things are important ingredients in being a member of the staff and helping the club move forward.
We spoke with Colin yesterday, and he was asking if we can check out. So you did indeed play together at Scotland, 1-1 draw with Moldova, and you won the squad for a game in Dortmund against Germany. You playing with under 21s, Colin with the full squad in that infamous Christian Daly game as well. So how do you view the kind of assistant's role? Do you give full licence for opinion, for views? Is it do you lead the line, or is it a kind of open playbook?
Yeah, I think you have to be receptive to taking on people's opinions. If you don't want to listen to opinions, then probably in the wrong job. You have to be open-minded enough to accept that. It doesn't mean you have to agree with it, and vice versa. I think it's important you have trust and belief in each other, which is huge. I've been an assistant myself, so I know the role is different from being manager. You can get frustrated probably quicker, because the manager will decide what happens, but then you've got to back the manager. But again, when you have discussions, it's not about saying yes, I agree with you all the time. Colin will see things differently from myself. He'll watch the game differently from myself. He'll maybe pick up things that I miss, and he won't see things that I see. And that's what you need. You need eyes and ears everywhere. Sometimes you have to make decisions very, very quickly in football. If you don't make decisions, you don't act on them, then the decision can be taken out of your hands by the opposition scoring a goal, or someone getting injured, or something like that. So it's good to have Colin there in our staff now. We'll obviously complement myself and Robbie Thompson and Blair and Andy as well. So we're well covered now in that department. it'll take Colin a few weeks to settle in, get to know the players. You know, you'll get to know the players on the pitch, obviously, but off the pitch as well. It does take time to understand personalities, to understand strengths, to understand weaknesses, and he's now back into the fold of sitting on the bench, and you know, it means a lot to Colin to be here. It means a lot to myself to be here, and we want to do our best.
Let's look forward to Saturday. Every Inverness game, league game that comes up, you know, the fans forums go daft with the stats. It's, you know, it's the kind of stats you get when you play somebody says to me, when you play a toddler, it's a beauty. That's the stats you want. You in 90 minutes we've not beaten them in 29 games, 22 league games, 6 managers have came and had a bite at it. How do we break the hoodoo?
We just treat it as another game, honestly, because I know it's been a long time. I remember that from the last time we played them, but for me it's our second game for me against Inverness, so I look at it slightly differently. Of course, Inverness are a good side. Their form shows that. You know, a wee hiccup during the week there against Hamilton, but overall, since they came here, they went on a tremendous run. Very experienced manager with good players. Seen that last season as well, where they finished in the table and then get into the playoff final. Just run out the legs towards the second leg, but we approach it as if we were playing anyone else. We try and win the game. It's an opportunity for us, that's for sure. I'm sure Billy is saying the same to his Inverness players. The last 29 games pretty much mean nothing, and now it's all about Saturday, and we remain focused and calm and positive towards that. So it'll be nice to get 3 points in particular, and also I guess be nice for the supporters if we can manage that to get rid of that hoodoo.
What about the game plan? Is it already set in your mind? Is the homework complete and you think you know where we can take advantage?
Yeah, well, you know, Inverness are in a wee bit not, I wouldn't say bother themselves with players and injuries, but you know, it's you know, I know we're fairly early in the season, but it has been a hard start for most teams because the League Cup can take a lot out of teams. If you add in the SPFL trophy as well, it's another game, and I think most squads in this league we're not ready for that League Cup to come so early, and even if you are ready, it will catch up with you eventually. So it's been very, very difficult for all of us. So Inverness are starting to feel a little bit of bite into their squad. They'll still have very good players in the park, and as I say, very well organised. Within that, we do our homework like we do on every team. It's been difficult this week because of the midweek game, and it's our third away game on the bounce. So we take that in a three game block. If you like, with the 3 away games. We know they're dangerous. We've seen that. We saw that here. We know they've got a little bit of pace in wide areas if the players are fit, and we know Billy Mackay can score goals. But we also know that we've tightened up a little bit at the back. We've changed our shape as well, and we go into it in the back of a win.
2 teams with really strong defensive records as well, going head to head.
Yeah, I noticed that. I was looking at that last night. I think we're the best 2 defensive, and our goals for are very, very similar. It probably tells you, you know, that Inverness didn't start the season great, but then went on a great run, and we've kind of went a couple of wins, a couple of losses, a win here, a loss there. Again, if you look at all Inverness's wins, they're very, very tight games, very small margins. But there's no doubt they've got a knack of grinding out results. That's a fantastic quality to have, especially in this league. But yeah, you know, know that now we'll get a 3-3 draw.
The league table shows that there's a huge carrot there in terms of moving up towards the top 4 as well.
Yeah, there is. The league's very tight at both ends. We can look at it in 2 ways. You know, we can look at the positive side of it and saying we're 5 off the top. We can look at the other way behind us and say we're only 5 off the second bottom. But it's very early. It's really early. And again, I've said to the players, forget about points at the moment. Forget about league positions at the moment. Concentrate on how well we can play. And when you play well, you'll win games. You might lose a few. And it might be a bit stop-start, but eventually your consistency comes. And the players have been really good, really good. You know, we were hurt after Saturday, there's no question. We were frustrated after Saturday, but the best thing is, and I've said it about this group before, the bounce back that they have is incredible.
And another long road trip for the mob that went up to Arbroath last night in that biting rain. Will be making their way up to Inverness to vocally back you. Yeah,
hopefully. It was a great crowd last night. Really big away support, which is fantastic. It helps us so much, it really does. It's a huge incentive when we come out for the warm-up and for the game, and the boys see the numbers that we travel in. Hopefully we've repaid them last night, and we make sure that they want to come back again. And we understand at the moment, like I said on Saturday after the game, that the economic climate's very, very difficult for people at the moment. the travel is very difficult, or I think the trains are a wee bit all over the place as well, and it's a tough trip up to Inverness. But whatever backing we get, you know, like I've said, we'll give 100%, and I hope we can send them back down the road again happy.
Great, thanks very much, Ian.
Thank you.